luxury RV owners are getting hit with a reality check. The dream rig isn't a dream when it can't park anywhere. And while American luxury motorhomes are sitting on lots like unsold furniture, a cheap Korean motorhome is moving like it cracked the code. No fancy branding or massive slides, just a size and setup that buyers can actually live with. So did buyers pivot before the manufacturers reacted? And why is this one Korean motorhome embarrassing the whole US segment? Why a cheap Korean motorhome is selling? While luxury RVs are stalling. A cheap Korean motorhome is selling. Not trending, not hyped, just gone. That flip says something broke in the market. Buyers didn't get cheap, they got smart. Urban parking bans changed the game. Length limits, overnight restrictions, and enforcement zones turned big luxury rigs into liabilities overnight. A 30-foot American motorhome attracts tickets before you even unpack. Buyers see that risk now. They do the math before signing. A cheaper Korean motorhome that fits under enforcement thresholds avoids that exposure. That difference alone explains sales momentum. Municipal codes measure size, not price. They do not care if your RV costs $300,000. They care if it crosses the line. Buyers finally caught on. They are choosing what survives enforcement, not what looks good on a brochure. Luxury brands did not lose because they got worse. They lost because the environment changed. The Korean motorhome fits the new rules. The others do not. That realization forces buyers to abandon showroom thinking and start calculating what ownership actually costs once enforcement enters the picture, which is why the real pressure doesn't start at the sticker price, but after purchase. Enforcement costs are why buyers walk past luxury RVs. The sticker price is not what scares buyers. The after-purchase costs do. Larger American luxury RVs cross length thresholds that trigger citations automatically. One ticket becomes two become a tow. Storage fees follow. These are not rare events anymore. They are scheduled outcomes in many cities. Buyers talk, they share receipts. A single overnight citation can exceed $100. Tows pass $500. Storage compounds daily. Add fuel from forced movement and lost work time. That turns a luxury purchase into a cash leak. Buyers see this before they buy now. The Korean motorhome avoids most of that. It stays under common enforcement limits. It does not attract the same attention. Fewer tickets mean fewer surprises. That predictability sells. Buyers would rather save money than brag. Luxury pricing does not protect you. Enforcement does not scale with cost. It scales with size. Paying more actually increases risk because larger rigs draw more complaints and enforcement attention. That is why buyers are skipping luxury lots and choosing the cheaper option that does not punish them after purchase. Those penalties turned curiosity into caution, and buyers didn't wait for manufacturers to explain it. They adjusted quietly on their own, long before the industry realized behavior had already shifted. If you're watching this because you're actively shopping, or because something already felt off, trust that instinct. This channel exists to help you avoid regret. Like the video, subscribe for what's coming next, and drop your experience below so others don't walk into the same traps. Buyers changed. First, manufacturers reacted too late. Working buyers changed behavior quietly. They stopped buying excess. They started tracking length limits, ticket zones, and enforcement patterns. They downsized without waiting for manufacturers to tell them to. This shift happened before sales data caught up. The new buyer is not retired. They are working. They need reliability, legality, and predictable costs. A luxury RV built for campgrounds does not solve city problems. Buyers stopped paying for features they cannot use legally. That is wasted money. American manufacturers kept selling nostalgia. Big kitchens, big slides, big promises. Buyers moved on. They wanted tools, not toys. The Korean motorhome read that moment correctly. It focused on usable space within limits, not maximum footprint. This is why it is outselling luxury American models. Not because it is exciting, because it works where buyers actually live. Buyers rewarded that clarity immediately. Manufacturers who miss this now face inventory. They cannot move without deep discounts. As buyers adjusted quietly and manufacturers stayed slow, timing created a split between what could survive new rules and what could not, which explains why one product arrived at exactly the right moment while others stalled. Timing is why the Korean motorhome wins right now. Timing beats branding every time. The Korean motorhome launched as parking bans expanded nationwide, not years earlier, not after the damage, right when buyers felt pressure. That alignment is everything. While American luxury brands refreshed interiors, cities tightened rules. Buyers connected the dots. They saw which rigs survive enforcement and which get punished. The Korean motorhome arrived as a solution, not a compromise. Buyers do not care where it is built. They care what it costs to own. A cheaper motorhome that avoids tickets, tows, and forced movement saves real money. That makes it feel smarter, not cheaper. This is why it outsells luxury American RVs. ease. It fits the moment. Its design choices match current reality. Timing turned it from an option into the obvious choice. That timing advantage only worked because the design itself solved a problem buyers now measure every day, starting with exterior size and how closely it hugs enforcement limits. Exterior size, without interior sacrifice. The RCK8 van was shaped around length limits rather than marketing fantasies. In most urban codes, enforcement thresholds cluster around 22 to 24 feet, and this motorhome sits just under the danger line while still delivering usable interior volume. Compare that with many American luxury R-Vee models stretching beyond 30 feet, instantly flagged by curbside measurement rules. This difference is not cosmetic. It determines whether you can park, stay, or get moved. Interior volume comes from vertical walls, a tall roofline, and smart furniture placement rather than sheer length. Usable floor space increases without expanding the exterior footprint. That matters because enforcement only measures what it can see. You are paying for space you can legally use, not square footage that stays theoretical once you leave a campground. Dealers rarely explain this math. They sell length as comfort, ignoring where that length becomes a liability. With the RCK8 van, the balance shifts back toward control. You keep interior function without advertising excess on the street. Once buyers understood that size determines exposure, the next question became how to regain space without increasing risk, which is where expandable design changes the equation. Slide out logic, not excess. Expandable space changes the enforcement equation because it disappears when it matters. The RCK8 van uses a slide out that remains fully contained while driving or parked in restricted zones. When stowed, exterior dimensions stay constant, keeping you inside measurement limits that inspectors use. Only when parked legally does the living area extend, adding width without triggering citations. Measurements explain the advantage. The slide out extends roughly 2 feet, creating real floor space, but retracts flush with the body. American luxury R-Vee designs often rely on permanent width, which cannot hide from tape measures. That difference controls risk. Comfort becomes conditional, not constant. This logic protects your wallet. You enjoy space when allowed and avoid fines when moving. There is no penalty for compliance. Dealers rarely frame it this way because conditional design undermines upsell narratives built around always on features. But space alone isn't what triggers enforcement attention does, which is why how a rig powers itself matters just as much as how it expands. Off-grid without drawing attention. Off-grid capability often backfires because it advertises permanence. Loud generators, roof clutter, exterior fuel cans, and visible hookups all signal long stays. In dense areas, those signals trigger complaints before enforcement ever shows up. The RCK8 van avoids that trap by designing systems to disappear rather than announce themselves. Quiet operation and visual restraint matter more than raw capacity. Diesel heating is internal. Power components sit out of sight. From the curb, nothing suggests occupation. The proof is in system layout, not marketing claims. Heating vents are underfloor, not exterior mounted. Electrical components are enclosed rather than bolted visibly to walls or racks. There is no external generator cycling on and off at predictable hours. Solar capacity supports daily needs without turning the roofline into a billboard. The van looks inert, even when fully functional. That matters because enforcement rarely starts with inspectors. It starts with neighbors. Complaint economics explain the wallet impact. Most citations begin with a call, not a patrol. Fewer visual and noise cues mean fewer calls. Fewer calls mean fewer inspections. Fewer inspections mean fewer tickets. Owners avoid the snowball effect, where one complaint creates a record, and a record invites repeat visits. That restraint saves money, time, and stress. This design favors discretion over spectacle. It assumes cities are watching and neighbors are impatient. It also assumes systems will fail eventually. When they do, visible workarounds attract attention fast. Reliability matters more than feature lists because every external fix advertises vulnerability. Avoiding attention protects you day to day, but long-term survival depends on what happens when something breaks, which brings drivetrain and platform choice into focus. Commercial chassis, predictable costs. Drivetrain choice determines long-term ownership cost more than interiors, finishes, or branding. The RCK8 van uses a commercial chassis proven in delivery, utility, and service fleets worldwide. That matters because fleets operate on math, not emotion. Vehicles that fail unpredictably are removed. Vehicles that perform consistently are standardized. Fleet usage generates data. Service intervals are known. Wear patterns are documented. Failure points are anticipated. Parts supply chains are built to scale. Iveco platforms run millions of miles globally under commercial duty, often in harsher conditions than recreational use. Maintenance schedules are routine. Independent shops understand the platform. Diagnostic tools tools are common. Parts availability is broad. Compare that with many luxury R-Vee platforms built in low volumes. Proprietary components inflate repair bills. Specialized parts require long waits. Downtime stretches into weeks. During that downtime, storage fees accrue. Enforcement clocks do not pause. Every delay multiplies cost. For owners, predictability protects cash flow. Repairs cost less. Downtime shortens. Maintenance becomes a known expense instead of a crisis event. You avoid being stranded with a broken system that forces visible repairs or emergency towing, both of which draw scrutiny and escalate enforcement exposure. Predictable mechanics also protect resale. Second buyers avoid complexity. They gravitate toward platforms with known histories and accessible service. Vehicles that can be maintained anywhere hold value longer. This is where many American luxury rigs start bleeding equity. High repair costs scare buyers. Long downtimes reduce confidence. Dealers discount aggressively to move. Inventory trapped under floor plan interest. Even with reliable mechanics, one factor still overrides everything else in the eyes of enforcement, insurers, lenders, and cities alike, and that factor is size. Size became a red flag. Large American luxury R-Vee rigs did not become risky overnight. What changed was enforcement consistency. Most city codes trigger scrutiny above specific length thresholds, commonly 22, 24, or 26 feet. Once crossed, enforcement becomes automatic. Inspectors do not care about brand prestige, interior quality, or purchase price. They care about measurements. Citation patterns follow size mechanically. Longer rigs receive warnings sooner. Warnings escalate into tickets. Tickets escalate into tows. Complaints rise faster because large vehicles block sight lines, trash access, parking turnover, and street cleaning. Enforcement responds because the rules require it, not because of personal judgment. For owners, every extra foot increases exposure, more fines, more forced movement, more fuel burn, more downtime. Storage fees stack quickly. Insurance premiums also rise with length classifications, adding hidden monthly costs buyers rarely calculate during negotiations. None of this improves daily livability. Many buyers assumed paying more bought immunity. It does not. Price does not alter enforcement math. Luxury does not reduce scrutiny. Length classifications drive risk across cities, insurers, and lenders alike. Size flipped from comfort into liability. Once size becomes a liability, the market responds quickly. Fewer buyers can legally use these rigs. Demand narrows. Resale confidence erodes. Depreciation accelerates in ways owners do not expect until it becomes unavoidable. Depreciation is accelerating. Depreciation has always existed, but regulatory pressure is speeding it up. Oversized American luxury R-Vee rigs now lose value faster because fewer buyers can legally operate them. Auctions reveal this shift first. Units that once held value now clear at sharp discounts as demand collapses. Resale data shows 5-figure losses within the first year. A rig purchased for $250,000 can fall below $200,000 quickly when enforcement removes urban buyers from the pool. Rural demand alone cannot absorb the volume of inventory returning to market. For your wallet, depreciation locks in immediately. It is not theoretical. It becomes real the moment paperwork is signed. Selling later does not recover losses because the same rules still apply. Markets do not forget regulations. Each year of ownership compounds exposure rather than reducing it. Dealers feel this pressure first. They watch values slide while inventory sits. Discounting accelerates, but buyers hesitate because they see the same enforcement risks. That hesitation traps inventory in a downward spiral where price cuts fail to restore confidence. As resale values slide and demand thins, the loss does not stay abstract. It shows up on dealer balance sheets because unsold inventory still accrues interest every month, revealing why floor plan pressure now dominates dealer behavior and shapes everything buyers experience on the lot. Floor plan pressure explains dealer behavior. Dealer pressure is not emotional. It is structural. Most R-Vee dealers do not own their inventory outright. They finance it through floor plan loans that begin accruing interest the moment a unit arrives. That clock never pauses. Whether a luxury R-Vee sells or sits, interest compounds monthly. Every unsold unit becomes a steadily leaking expense. Floor plan rates fluctuate with credit conditions, but even moderate rates translate into thousands of dollars per month on high-priced inventory. A $300,000 luxury rig can accumulate interest costs comparable to a residential lease. When depreciation accelerates at the same time, dealers face a double squeeze, paying interest on an asset losing value faster than projected. That pressure reshapes behavior quickly. Sales strategies escalate, not because demand is strong, but because time is expensive. Managers push to move aging units before another billing cycle hits. Incentives stack, discounts widen, urgency language enters every interaction. Final allocation, dealer cost. This week only, these are not signals of opportunity, they are signals of compression. For your wallet, this flips the narrative. Discounts are not generosity, they are risk transfers. When you buy under floor plan stress, you absorb depreciation that already occurred, plus future loss the dealer is trying to avoid. The price cut does not erase bad math. It relocates it. Buyers noticed. Experienced shoppers recognize repeated follow-ups, escalating incentives, and artificial deadlines as symptoms of financial strain. Instead of moving faster, they slow down. They let inventory age. They watch pressure build. Walking away becomes leverage. Behind the scenes, floor plan interest quietly dictates dealer behavior far more than brand confidence or sales forecasts. And that pressure only becomes visible when inventory stops moving, making sales velocity the next truth buyers need to understand. Sales velocity tells the truth. Sales velocity cuts through marketing noise. What sells quickly works. What stalls does not. Days on lot data shows compact, compliant models rotating through inventory, while oversized luxury R-Vs linger. Time exposes design errors that glossy brochures cannot conceal. Velocity matters because it reflects buyer consensus without commentary. Fast-moving units rarely require heavy incentives. They sell near asking price because demand validates the design. Slow movers accumulate rebates, financing perks, and dealer concessions because buyers hesitate. Incentives do not create confidence. They compensate for doubt. Wholesale markets confirm this pattern. Auction prices follow velocity, not MSRP units. That move quickly at retail retain stronger wholesale bids because dealers know they can resell them. Slow-moving rigs clear at discounts because carrying them forward recreates the same problem. Velocity shapes resale outcomes long before an owner lists a vehicle. For your wallet, velocity preserves optionality. Buying what moves keeps resale viable. Buying what stalls locks you into a shrinking buyer pool. Chasing large rebates on slow inventory may feel strategic upfront, but it often signals future difficulty exiting the asset. Manufacturers watch velocity closely. Those who adapt, redesign, and recover. Those who ignore it accumulate inventory and lose pricing power. Buyers voting with their wallets shape the market faster than branding campaigns can respond. And those voting patterns increasingly reflect not taste, but regulatory pressure, which continues tightening. Regulations tighten, not loosen. City planning language has shifted permanently. New ordinances no longer use words like pilot, trial, or temporary. They use terms such as ongoing, expanded, and permanent. That wording matters. It signals intent. Cities are not testing R-Vee restrictions. They are institutionalizing them. Length limits are being codified. Overnight parking exclusions are widening. Enforcement budgets are increasing, not shrinking. This shift changes the ownership risk profile. Buying the wrong rig is no longer a short-term inconvenience. It becomes persistent cost. Tickets repeat, TOWs escalate, storage fees compound. The longer a non-compliant vehicle exists, the more it costs simply to remain mobile. None of this appears on a window sticker. Planning documents reveal another key change. Cities increasingly classify R-Vs as housing rather than recreation. That reclassification invites taxation, zoning control, and enforcement similar to residential property. Once that framing is embedded in policy language, reversals become rare. Bureaucracies rarely unwind. Classifications, they build on them. For your wallet, this eliminates hope as a strategy. Buying against policy direction locks in losses that cannot be negotiated away later. Vehicles purchased today must survive years of tightening rules, not wait for leniency. Policy language sets the direction of risk long before enforcement appears on the street. And as regulations harden, they expose a deeper reality. Motorhomes are no longer treated as toys, but as tools subject to daily scrutiny. Motorhomes are no longer toys. Usage patterns confirm a structural break from the past. R-Vs are no longer weekend escapes. They are daily living tools. Owners work from them, sleep in them, park in cities because that is where jobs, services, and infrastructure exist. This reality punishes fantasy-driven purchases. Data from lenders and insurers shows longer ownership periods and fewer recreational miles. Campground usage declines while urban stays rise. That shift changes priorities. Reliability matters more than novelty. Compliance matters more than appearance. A system failure is not an inconvenience when it draws attention or forces movement. It becomes a financial and logistical crisis. For your wallet, this reframes value. Utility preserves cash. Fantasy drains it. Paying for features you cannot legally or practically use under real conditions is wasted money. Buyers who adapt protect mobility and income. Buyers who cling to nostalgia absorb losses. This also explains why certain designs resonate, while others stall. Korean manufacturers understood this earlier, because density and regulation are normal there. As motorhomes function increasingly as housing tools, durability, discretion, and legality replace excess as the core value drivers, setting up the final decision buyers now face about which designs can survive what comes next. The clear buyer play. The buyer play is simple, but it requires discipline. Wait, watch inventory. Avoid overlength rigs. Do not be rushed by discounts framed as generosity. Those price cuts reflect pressure, not value. Ownership math makes this clear. Purchase price plus depreciation plus enforcement equals real cost. Smaller compliant rigs reduce all three. Larger rigs inflate them. Timing also matters. As regulations tighten, non-compliant inventory weakens further. Waiting can save thousands. Protecting cash means buying utility, not hope. Choose designs that survive where you actually live, not where brochures imagine you traveling. Ask how a rig behaves under enforcement, not how it looks on a lot. With patterns now visible, buyers can act confidently by waiting, watching inventory weaken, and avoiding overlength rigs, using timing and compliance to protect cash, minimize regret, and stay ahead of sellers still trapped by yesterday's design mistakes. This moment rewards patience, not urgency, because discounts deepen as floor plan pressure builds. Dealers need movement more than you need a deal. Choosing rigs built for enforcement realities preserves resale, lowers surprise costs, and restores control. The advantage belongs to buyers who pause, verify rules, track days on lot, and refuse emotional pressure. Smart restraint today prevents expensive exits later, especially as regulations tighten nationwide. Before you click away, I want to hear from you. Would you buy the cheaper Korean motorhome if it meant less hassle and better resale? Or are luxury American rigs still worth the risk? Drop your take in the comments, because real owner stories are what expose what dealers won't say out loud. If this breakdown helped you see the market differently, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. These shifts are happening fast, and the next video could save you thousands.